Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Mike Drotis, Bible teacher and preacher, and you are watching Solving the Prophetic Puzzle. Today I want to talk about one of the seven seals, in particular the third seal, the rider on the black horse. And it starts in Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse. And he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." This black horse represents economic devastation or hyperinflation. A few months ago, I was preaching in a church and I prophesied to the congregation and I told them that one day our money, the paper money that we use, the currency that we use, will be worthless. We're beginning now even to see inflation happen. But in this third seal, this inflation will be tremendous. It will be terrible. A day's wage for some bread. Look at verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a day's wage, or for a denarius, which is a day's wage, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius." But then he says something interesting. "But do not harm the oil and the wine." It looks like to me that when the black horse begins to ride, that there is going to be such a discrepancy, such a gulf between the super rich and then the masses in general. The masses will be working all day for a loaf of bread. But then there will be some that will be rich, that will have such wealth that, in fact, in these last days, they will begin to heap up money upon themselves, taking advantage of perilous times and perilous situations. And there will be a great gulf between the very rich and between the masses who have nothing. A widespread gulf. They will find a way to profit during this time of tribulation. This is evil. This is evil, and judgment will fall swiftly on them. Turn to James chapter 5. James chapter 5 talks about these last days, what's going to happen to those who have heaped up riches upon themselves. "Come now, you rich, weep and howl for your miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches are corrupted, your garments are moth-eaten, your gold and silver are corroded, and their corrosion will be a witness against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have heaped up treasure in the last days. Indeed, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, cry out, and the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of the Lord of the Sabbath. You have lived on the earth in pleasure and luxury. You have fattened your hearts as in the days of slaughter. You have condemned, you have murdered the just. He does not resist you." As these times of tribulation begin to get worse and worse and worse, there are people who will profit from this, and they will heap up treasures upon themselves. They will cheat their laborers out of their due wages, and they will withhold things that God is going to require of them in the future. Revelation chapter 18. I only will read one verse out of Revelation 18, but I would really like to actually teach on Revelation chapter 17 and 18 one day. But in Revelation 18, we read about the judgment upon Babylon. And in Revelation 18, verse 9, "The kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived luxuriously with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning." Babylon is the world's financial system in the last days. God is going to judge that. God is going to judge that. And our response to this is simply to trust God, to not compromise. Or as Paul says in 2 Corinthians 6:17 and 18. 2 Corinthians 6:17 and 18. And he's quoting Isaiah the prophet. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you, and I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and your daughters, says the Lord Almighty. Our response in these perilous times is to stay separated, stay committed, stay with the Lord, keep watching, come out from the Babylonian system, and trust God, for He is the sure foundation, and He will see us through to the very end. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your comments. If you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please do that. Share as often as you can, and I will be back here next week once again as we continue to solve the prophetic puzzle. God bless.